Georgia's governor faces growing pushback over his reopening strategy. We're also learning why President Trump went from praising the plan that the governor had put forward to publicly criticizing it. Let's go to our chief White House correspondent, Jim Acosta. Jim, the coronavirus task force apparently swayed the president, right?
That's right, Wolf. We are learning new details about how members of the coronavirus task force tried to persuade President Trump to come out against Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's plans to reopen businesses in that state tomorrow. It's just one example of what appears to be a battle between the president and his own scientists. It was a major reversal as President Trump came out against Georgia Governor Brian Kemp's move to reopen businesses in his state on Friday.
I told the governor of Georgia, Brian Kemp, that I disagree strongly with his decision to open certain facilities which are in violation of the Phase 1 guidelines. He must do what he thinks is right.
But sources tell CNN the administration's top doctors were trying to convince the president to make that shift, as Mr. Trump was sending signals he was backing Kemp and other governors racing to reopen their states.
He's a very capable man. He knows what he's doing. He's done a very good job as governor. Georgia, a lot of states are in really great shape. You're going to see a lot of openings.
At a coronavirus task force meeting before Wednesday's news conference, Dr. Anthony Fauci said of Georgia's reopening plans, "I cannot defend this publicly." Members of the task force then urged Dr. Deborah Birx to try to convince Mr. Trump during a private meeting to come out against Georgia's proposal. At the briefing, Fauci cautioned Kemp publicly.
If I were advising the governor, I would tell him that he should be careful. And I would advise him not to just turn the switch on and go, because there is a danger of a rebound. Going ahead and leapfrogging into phases where you should not be, I would advise him as a health official and as a physician not to do that.
The battle over Georgia is just one of several flashpoints between the president and his scientists. Mr. Trump insisted that the director of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Robert Redfield, had been misquoted by the Washington Post when the health expert warned a second wave of the coronavirus could hammer the U.S. during flu season.
But I don't know what to follow up. He was misquoted, totally misquoted.
But Redfield said he was quoted accurately.
I'm accurately quoted in the Washington Post as difficult. But the headline was inappropriate.
When Mr. Trump doubled down,
But you may not even have corona coming back.
Fauci disagreed.
There will be coronavirus in the fall.
Then there's the sudden departure of Dr. Rick Bright from a key agency working on the coronavirus vaccine. Bright said in a statement, "I am speaking out because to combat this deadly virus, science, not politics or cronyism, has to lead the way." Part of his beef appears to be the president's touting of hydroxychloroquine as a treatment for coronavirus.
What do you have to lose? In some cases, they're in bad shape. What do you have to lose? It's been out there for a long time, and I hope they use it. I may take it, and I'll have to ask my doctors about that.
Mr. Trump claimed he didn't know Bright.
Well, I never heard of him. If the guy says he was pushed out of a job, maybe he was, maybe he wasn't. You'd have to hear the other side. I don't know who he is.
On the issue of testing for the coronavirus, more contradictions. While the president claims the U.S. has tremendous testing capacity, Fauci tells Time magazine that's not really the case.
I am not overly confident right now at all that we have what it takes to do that. We're getting better and better at it as the weeks go by, but we are not in a situation where we say we're exactly where we want to be with regard to testing.
The infighting comes as another 4.4 million Americans filed unemployment claims last week for a whopping 26.5 million over the last 5 weeks. New York Governor Andrew Cuomo is blasting Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell, who said he didn't want coronavirus relief to become a bailout for states.
New York puts in more money to the federal pot than it takes out. His state takes out more than it puts in. Senator McConnell, who's getting bailed out here? It's your state that is living on the money that we generate. Your state is getting bailed out, not my state.
Now, as for Dr. Bright, his attorneys say in a new statement that they will be filing a whistleblower complaint on behalf of their client, and they say the administration has been spreading falsehoods about Dr. Bright. Wolf.
Jim Acosta reporting for us. Jim, thanks very much.
The wider pain of a pandemic, the economic turmoil for roughly 16% of the entire workforce out of work.
I'm a small business owner, and my business was shut down forcibly on the 17th of March, and I have yet to see any unemployment, any money come through from the government, and I'm sitting here without a paycheck with no definitive answer on when I will be returning to work, and I don't think that's right.
The staggering unemployment numbers pressuring a number of states to begin easing stay-at-home measures, allowing some non-essential businesses to reopen. Tomorrow, Georgia will allow businesses like salons, gyms, tattoo parlors, and bowling alleys to open their doors. South Carolina reopened some businesses Monday, and Texas is expected to make its reopening announcement tomorrow.
You're going to be able to go to a hair salon. You're going to be able to go to any type of retail establishment you want to go to.
And now, a key coronavirus model, often cited by the White House, tweaked its predictions Thursday, saying that some states must wait even longer to safely reopen, including Georgia, which the model says shouldn't open until June 22nd. The Georgia governor is still planning to begin reopening Friday, however, despite experts warning they're making a deadly mistake.
There is a danger of a rebound. And I know there's the desire to move ahead quickly. That's a natural human nature desire. But going ahead and leapfrogging into phases where you should not be, I would advise him as a health official and as a physician not to do that.
Even as states open, coronavirus continues to spread into the heartland of America, triggering new outbreaks and public fear. New hotspots in Midwestern communities, often home to meatpacking plants and manufacturing facilities. Boston still hasn't hit its peak.
The surge is going to continue.
And in Wisconsin, at least 19 cases are now tied to in-person primary voting. And a new modeling study reveals a hidden explosion of coronavirus was rapidly spreading through U.S. cities, long before many Americans and government leaders understood what was happening. According to research at Northeastern University reported by the New York Times, outbreaks were blooming in New York, Boston, San Francisco, Chicago, and Seattle long before testing revealed any serious problems.
We have a lot of community transmission that was really unknown, and our efforts in the beginning to sort of contain and mitigate, it was definitely, out of the bag at that point.
And in a preliminary study announced by New York's Governor Andrew Cuomo today, 13.9% of New Yorkers tested positive for antibodies, which could prove the virus spread wider than first thought.
When we say there are 15,500 deaths, that number is going to go up. Those deaths are only hospitalization or nursing home deaths. That does not have what are called at-home deaths.
Wolf, getting back to the confusion here in Georgia. Yes, it's true that businesses are expected, at least some of them, to open tomorrow. But then there is this. The state is still under a stay-at-home order, a quarantine, until the end of the month. So what is a person to do? Order and follow that to stay home? Or go to the businesses that are supposedly opening? No one's really sure what's going to happen tomorrow. Wolf?
Well, we'll watch it together with you. Good luck to everybody in Georgia. We're obviously all concerned. Martin Savage in Atlanta.